Hi everyone! Today I would like to review this Caran watercolor palette. I've had it in my cart for quite a while and I decided to finally get it because I thought it would be a really nice tool and I really wanted to try it. So it is specially designed for all Caran water-soluble products. So we're going to try that. And it has two surfaces. You have one side that's textured. Let's see, I don't know if you can see it. And one smooth side, like a regular palette. But what I was interested in was the textured side. As you can see, there's a little stain. I've used it before and I quite enjoyed it. So I have my palette here, I've got my watercolor paper here. And since it's for water-soluble supplies, I need some paper that will withstand water. I've got my cup of water, paper towels, brush, and I have some Supercolor 2 watercolor pencil by Caran. And we're going to give it a shot. So the reason why it's textured is so that it can pull the pigment from the pencil. If it was all smooth like this, you can't really write on this. But here, there's a grit, so you can actually write on it. Almost like sandpaper. And then you wet your brush. Just a damp brush will be fine. I just dab it a bit. And you gather the pigment. And you see how right away it melts. And then you just can put it on your paper. Of course, you can always just go straight on your paper. Some watercolor pencils dissolve better than others, and some will just leave a mark on your paper. So with those, probably this would be better. Wet your brush, and you can just melt it away. I think that maybe using the palette method might be able to use a bit smaller brushes with it, and it might be nice for details. Another way you can do it is just pick up the pigment straight from the pencil and then go. When you do that, usually you end up with a very pigmented wash. A good use for the palette also is if you want a very, very light wash, it's much easier to get it from the palette than putting the pigment straight on the paper. Here I have another Caran product. It's a Neocolor 2. It's a water-soluble crayon. And again, you can just put it on the paper and dissolve it. Or just put some pigment here on the palette and pick it up with your brush. Or just pick it up from here. Now, in the past, what I've always used was this. I would just grab a piece of tracing paper, draw on it. I would do that with markers too, actually. Like water-based markers. And go like this. Just basically use it as my palette. Got too much water here, but it's the same idea. The problem is that the paper gets wet and you just have to go. You can't really have big pools of pigmented water in it. But that's what I used, and I think this is kind of cool because first you don't end up throwing your paper all the time. You can just clean it and reuse it. And you can also make bigger pools, and yeah, I think this is very handy. Now, another Caran d'Ache product. This is the Neo Color 1. This is a wax oil pastel. So this is not water soluble. However, in here I've got a sponge with odorless mineral spirit in it. And just use any solvent. And you can do the same as with water. Pick it up and apply it to your paper. And then same when you just put it on the paper. Use the solvent and melt it. Or just lift it from here. Didn't have much. Here you go. Since the package says that it's specially designed for Caran d'Ache products, I wanted to see if we could use it for other products as well. So here I've got some Derwent Inktense pencils. These are water soluble. There you can already tell how well they dissolve. Here you go, works just fine. Next I have some faber-castell gelatos. It picks up a lot of pigment. These are very soft. Here you go, works really well too. I've got some Marabou art crayons. They're also water soluble. There you go, works pretty well too. Now, trying something else. The Staedtler Mars Lumograph, and this one is water soluble. It's a 4B. Let's see if that works too. Look at that. That's so nice. See, this one also you can go like this, but you can prevent a lot of marks on your paper, I guess. But it dilutes really, really nicely. And lastly, I have a Prismacolor Premier color pencil. So this is wax base, and of course it's not water soluble, but you can use a solvent and dissolve it that way. A lot of artists who use color pencils use mineral spirit to smooth out their artwork, and it looks really pretty. So let's see. Here you go. Works great. As I mentioned before, the other side has a smooth surface, so you can use it for watercolor or actual paints. It works great. Now this palette is around $12, and for this price, I think it's a very small palette. And this texture looked familiar to me, and I was wondering if I could spend a lot less money and get something similar. And look what I found. I went to Walmart, and for 88 cents, I found a cutting board. I think Mainstays is the Walmart brand for all home things like kitchenware and all that stuff. So it's a pretty good size. I'd say it's almost twice the size of this one. It is textured on both sides. And let's see if it works the same way. So here I've got my Inktense pencil. Gonna pick some up. And here you go. So I think it's a little more textured than this, so you might want to be careful with your brushes. But you know, if you look at this compared to this, here you can tell that it's a lot more textured, right? Let's try with the Caran watercolor pencil. And it works great. The gelatos. Same thing. So this is a great alternative, and if you can't afford spending those $12 for this palette, you can spend less than $1 for this palette or cutting board. Now the thing that I dislike with it, well, I don't really dislike, I think it's not very convenient if you're doing a mixed media piece and you're using, for instance, watercolor from a tube and watercolor pencils. You can't really go back and forth because you're going to make a big mess. Like using watercolor here, making a wash, and then you need this for the watercolor pencil, and that's going to be so messy because it's going to be dripping all over the place. If you're doing a mixed media piece and you want to be frugal, you can buy this and have a ceramic palette. This is just a tile that I got at the hardware store for less than $1 as well. So you get these two for less than $2. You can do your mixed media artwork without any mess, and you save about $10. That said, I really like this also because it's smaller, and sometimes I don't have much room on my desk to, especially if I'm gonna paint a larger piece. So it's kind of convenient to have a smaller palette, but you have the option. And maybe you already have a cutting board like this at home that maybe you're not using, and you can use it for your artwork. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this little review video. It was really fun to make, and I'm really happy that I finally got to try this kind of a palette, because I think I'm going to use it a lot with my water-soluble supplies. And I might even use them for those that are soluble with a solvent. Let me know if you've tried this before, and if not, what do you use when you use a water-soluble pencil? Do you just go straight on the paper and dissolve it that way? Do you have a special palette that you use, or do you use just paper? Thank you all for stopping by. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're brand new here, please consider subscribing to this channel. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.